Have you ever caught yourself in the mirror, noticing something different? Not dramatic, but undeniable. That's your body speaking. In its own quiet language. As men, we navigate life focused on the horizon, rarely glancing down at the vessel carrying us there. But that vessel, our body, is constantly adapting, evolving, responding to the passage of time in ways both visible and invisible. What if I told you there are 4 distinct markers of male aging that most men overlook? Silent witnesses to the years passing by. 1 that announces itself through scent before sight, 2 that expand with the counting of years, and 1 that gradually diminishes, a silent retreat from what once was. These aren't random occurrences or cruel jokes played by nature. They're biological signposts, your body's way of documenting the journey you've taken. Some emerge so gradually you barely notice their arrival. Others seem to appear overnight, as if they've been waiting for the perfect moment to reveal themselves. In this video, we'll explore these 4 telltale signs that mark the passage of time in the male body. How many do you recognize in yourself? How many have you dismissed or explained away? Stay with me until the end. What you discover might explain that change you've noticed but never fully understood. That subtle shift that's been nagging at the back of your mind. Because understanding your body's language isn't just about accepting the inevitable. It's about decoding the messages, interpreting the signals, and perhaps even negotiating with time itself. Your body has been trying to have this conversation with you. Today, we finally listen. One of the first and most critical signs of aging in men is the gradual shrinking of their physical frame. This is not just about posture or appearance. It is a biological signal that something fundamental is being lost: muscle, resilience, power. And if you do not address it, if you do not take action, the process accelerates, leaving you weaker, less capable, and more vulnerable to the slow decay of time. Muscle is not just for athletes or bodybuilders. It is a foundation of life, a measure of how well you are maintaining the integrity of your body. As men age, they naturally begin to lose muscle mass in a process known as sarcopenia. This is not an inevitability. It is a result of neglect. The modern world encourages passivity. It allows men to sink into comfort, to sit for hours, to avoid the kind of physical effort that once defined their existence. In past generations, men worked with their hands, lifted, carried, moved. Today, many spend their lives hunched over screens, engaging in little physical exertion beyond what is absolutely necessary. And the body, ever adaptive, responds accordingly. It sheds what is not used. But losing muscle is not just a matter of looking older. It is a cascade of consequences that stretch far beyond aesthetics. Muscle is metabolically active tissue. It burns calories, supports the joints, stabilizes the body, and produces hormones that regulate energy and mood. When muscle disappears, metabolism slows. Fat accumulates. Weakness sets in. And with that weakness comes a loss of confidence, of presence, of capability. A man who once felt powerful in his body begins to hesitate, to second-guess his ability to perform even basic tasks. Strength is not just about lifting heavy weights. It is about maintaining independence, the ability to rise from a chair without strain, to carry groceries without exhaustion, to climb stairs without hesitation. These are the markers of functional strength. When these begin to fade, when movement becomes labored and difficult, a man is no longer in control of his body. He is at the mercy of time. And time, once allowed to take control, does not give back what is taken. This process is not inevitable. It is not a natural consequence of aging so much as it is a consequence of neglect. Resistance training, proper nutrition, and an active lifestyle are not optional. They are the means by which a man fights back against the slow erosion of his strength. To ignore this, to dismiss it as simply part of getting older, is to accept a slow, passive decline into frailty. And once that path is chosen, it becomes harder and harder to reverse. Strength must be maintained with deliberate effort. If it is not, it will be lost. A man's eyes reveal far more than he often realizes. They are not just organs for sight. They are windows into a state of being. When a man is young, his eyes are sharp, filled with energy, focused on the world ahead. There is a brightness, an intensity that speaks to his ambition, his purpose, his vitality. But as he ages, something changes. That brightness can fade, replaced by a dullness that speaks of exhaustion, stress, and years of accumulated burdens. This is not just an aesthetic shift. It is a biological and psychological transformation that signals the toll of time on his mind and body. One of the most telling signs of aging is the presence of deep-set, hollow, or shadowed eyes. This is often caused by chronic stress, sleep deprivation, and the gradual breakdown of the body's ability to recover. The human body is remarkably adaptive, but it is not invincible. When a man is under constant pressure, whether from work, financial struggles, relationships, or the weight of unfulfilled ambitions, his body responds by releasing stress hormones like cortisol. In small doses, cortisol is useful. It sharpens focus, drives action, and helps navigate challenges. But when stress becomes constant, when there is no reprieve, cortisol becomes destructive. It breaks down muscle, disrupts sleep, accelerates aging, and depletes energy levels. The eyes, being one of the most sensitive and revealing parts of the body, bear the brunt of this internal battle. Sleep plays a crucial role in this process. A well-rested man has eyes that are clear and alert, capable of expressing confidence and engagement. But a man who consistently sacrifices sleep, whether due to poor habits, stress, or an inability to switch off his mind, will see the effects manifest in his face. The skin under his eyes becomes thinner, revealing blood vessels that create dark circles. Puffiness and sagging become more pronounced as fluid retention increases. The result is a face that tells a story of fatigue, of struggle, of slow decline. Yet this is not just about biology. It is about the burden of unresolved emotional and psychological weight. A man who carries regret, who has not come to terms with his past, who has let himself be ruled by resentment or disappointment, will show it in his eyes. There is a heaviness that comes from living without resolution, from accumulating years of suppressed emotion. The fire dims, the spark fades, and when this happens, he not only looks older, he feels older. This is not an inevitability, but a warning. The man who recognizes the signs early can take action. He can manage his stress, prioritize rest, learn to let go of unnecessary burdens, and care for his body with intention. A man who does this will not only maintain his youth longer, but he will carry himself differently. His presence will remain strong. His gaze will still command attention, and his eyes will continue to reflect a life that is being lived fully, not one that is merely enduring the passage of time. A man's movement tells the truth about his age, even when he tries to hide it. It is one of the most revealing indicators of how well he is maintaining his vitality. When a man is young, he moves with purpose, with confidence, with a sense of ownership over his body and the space he occupies. His stride is steady, his posture upright, his steps deliberate. But as he ages, something happens. His movements begin to slow. His steps become shorter. His gait less assured. This change is not just a matter of getting older. It is a sign of deeper physiological decline. The way a man moves is a direct reflection of his strength, balance, coordination, and overall health. One of the primary reasons for this decline is the deterioration of the nervous system. The brain and the body are deeply connected, and movement is a function of both muscular strength and neurological efficiency. When a man stops challenging himself physically, when he avoids activities that require balance, speed, or coordination, his nervous system begins to lose its sharpness. Reaction time slow. Coordination weakens. The body, no longer required to move dynamically, begins to regress into stiffness and hesitation. This is why older men who do not actively maintain their mobility often develop a shuffling gait, a lack of balance, and an increased risk of falling. It is not just aging. It is a result of disuse. Muscle loss also plays a crucial role. The legs are particularly vulnerable to atrophy if they are not trained consistently. The quadriceps, hamstrings, and calves are responsible for generating power with each step, and when they weaken, the entire gait is affected. Walking becomes less efficient, more tiring, and eventually more tentative. This leads to a dangerous cycle. Because movement becomes harder, a man moves less. And because he moves less, he continues to lose even more strength. Over time, what was once an easy, automatic action, walking with confidence, becomes a challenge. Posture is another key factor. A younger man naturally stands tall, with his shoulders back and his head held high. But as the years pass, poor habits, prolonged sitting, and muscular imbalances cause the spine to curve forward. The result is a hunched posture that affects not only appearance but also movement efficiency. A man who walks with his head down and his shoulders rounded forward projects an image of fragility rather than strength. This is more than just a cosmetic issue. It affects breathing, circulation, and even mental state. A man who moves with power feels more powerful. A man who moves hesitantly begins to feel weak. Maintaining a strong, purposeful stride requires deliberate action. Strength training, mobility exercises, and activities that challenge balance and coordination are essential. A man who neglects these things will find his movement slowing, his steps shortening, and his physical presence diminishing. But a man who takes responsibility for his body will retain his vitality, walking with the same confidence and energy that defined his younger years. Movement is not just a function of age. It is a reflection of how well a man has taken care of himself. Part 3. A man's voice is more than just sound. It is his presence, his authority, his essence projected into the world. When a man speaks with confidence, with depth, with clarity, people listen. His words carry weight. His presence is undeniable. And his influence extends beyond just what he says. It is how he says it. But as men age, something often changes. Their voices become thinner, weaker, less commanding. The resonance that once made them stand out fades, and they struggle to be heard in a room where they once dominated. This is not just a coincidence. It is a sign of physiological and psychological decline, and it reveals far more about a man's true age than most realize. The strength of a man's voice is directly tied to his physical health. The lungs, diaphragm, and vocal cords all play a role in producing a strong and steady voice. As the body weakens with age, so too does the voice. The diaphragm loses strength, leading to shallower breaths and less vocal projection. The vocal cords, which rely on muscle tone and elasticity, become thinner and weaker when not regularly engaged. This results in a voice that sounds more fragile, more hesitant, and ultimately less powerful. Just as muscle loss affects the body's ability to move with confidence, it also affects a man's ability to speak with authority. Posture plays a crucial role in vocal strength. A man who stands tall, with his chest open and his shoulders back, speaks from a position of power. His voice resonates more deeply, carrying a natural force that commands attention. But as posture declines, whether due to years of sitting, a lack of strength, or simply a loss of self-awareness, the ability to speak with confidence declines as well. A hunched posture compresses the lungs and throat, making it harder to breathe deeply and project sound effectively. The result is a voice that sounds weaker, less assertive, and ultimately older. Beyond the physical aspect, the voice is also a reflection of mental and emotional health. A man who is engaged with life, who has purpose, who still believes his words matter, speaks with conviction. His voice retains its energy because he remains mentally sharp and emotionally invested. But when a man begins to feel irrelevant, whether due to retirement, social isolation, or a growing sense that the world no longer needs him, his voice reflects that. It becomes quieter, less forceful, almost as if he is asking for permission to speak rather than asserting himself. The loss of a strong voice is often a sign that a man has begun to retreat from the world, allowing time and passivity to erode his presence. Maintaining a powerful voice requires effort. Strength training, proper breathing exercises, and deliberate vocal practice can preserve and even restore vocal strength. Speaking regularly, engaging in conversations, and refusing to withdraw from life's discussions all contribute to keeping a voice strong. A man who lets his voice fade loses more than just volume. He loses a piece of himself. But a man who takes control, who continues to speak with clarity and conviction, refuses to be diminished by time. His voice remains strong, and with it, so does he. So here's the truth. Aging is non-negotiable. But how you age, that's up to you. The body sends signals, subtle ones at first, then louder and louder, until you either listen or it's too late. The shrinking frame, the hollow eyes, the slowed step, the fading voice. These are not just signs of time passing. They are signs of neglect. They are warnings that demand your attention. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found value in this session. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts truly matter to us, and reading your comments gives our team incredible motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this content and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share with others. Your support enables us to continue creating meaningful content that informs and inspires. Thanks for watching, and we're excited to connect with you again in our next video.